Hello everyone, it's me again, Hannah, here with yet another kit review. This time I'll be covering the Red Dawn BMD Air Assault Battalion that we reviewed, that we unboxed just a couple weeks ago, I think, at this point. So, this was quite a big box. It had Hinds, it had some T-64s with the new upgrade sprue, and it had some BMDs and a whole bunch of other new stuff. So I'm going to go through everything that's in that box. This does mean you probably won't get individual kit reviews for this stuff later, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, let's get into it. So we will start things off with my least favorite kit in this entire box, and that is the Hind model. It's a 2-sprue kit with a bunch of little bits that we'll take a look at in just a second, and I'll explain as we go over this why this is my least favorite kit. So first off, let's start with detail. Pretty decent detail for what it is. It's not terrible. I feel like compared to some of their newer stuff, it is a bit lacking, but you have just about everything. You've got the doors that look really nice. The molding on the hull is pretty okay. You've got your missile pods, every little bit that you can find, the gun for the bottom. I mean, everything you'd expect to be there is there, but it just feels a bit lackluster, especially on the weapons options. Some of these weapons are not, not the best. So, in terms of like the actual kit detail, it's fine, it's passable, I guess. But in terms of the mold quality, there is a lot of flash on here. I don't know if you can tell that, and that's just, it's not great. Battlefront's definitely gotten a lot better at this. In recent years, like on the BMD kits, you'll see there's pretty much no flash, same on like the T-64 kits, but definitely on this older Hind kit, there's a lot of flash, which is just a bit disappointing because this is my favorite model kit. Well, this is not my favorite model kit, but this is my favorite helicopter, one of my favorite helicopters. And so, there's just a lot of flash things. And in terms of assembly, it just kind of has some issues. I actually built one already. We'll look at it here. As you can see, it kind of is fine, but one of the things I found when I was putting this kit together was that some things just don't really seat right. Like this little cockpit here just doesn't quite fit right. The whole thing, there's just some very low tolerances or very loose tolerances on some of these parts. One of the things I found as assembly, the rockets, there's like a small rocket and a large rocket. So some for the inner part here and some for the outer part. And they're designed that there's these like half semicircle like grooves that they notch into, which actually if we find, yeah, here. You can see there, they notch into those little circles. Those were not right on this kit. The ones for the left side were all the small rocket pods, and the ones for the right side were all the large rocket pods. So I actually had to shave some of these rocket pods down just to get them to fit. If you're wondering why the rotor blade is not there, it's because I haven't magnetized it yet, but that sits there. Now, Alan claims that one of the issues with this kit specifically is actually this rotor blade, because if you look at the sprue here, you can see that it's a 5-bladed rotor. But you can see that these two parts here are like that, and you glue these two blades onto the top of them, which makes them a bit flimsy. But I don't know. I assembled these yesterday with some Tamiya ultra thin cement, and I haven't noticed any issues with them being overly flimsy. I wouldn't press too hard on them or anything. It could also be the difference between using super glue and using ultra thin cement. But I haven't had much issues with it. But you can just kind of look at the rotor blade underside there. It's not the most detailed thing ever. So, I mean, my overall thoughts on this kit, it's fine, I guess. It's not the worst, but it definitely could be better, and it's showing its age compared to some of the newer stuff. Like the new Apache helicopter kit is just phenomenal. Like I have no problems with it whatsoever. It is one of the best model kits I think I might have ever built. It went together well, all the pieces fit snugly, and just compared to with a lot of Battlefront's newer stuff, this kit just feels a bit old, and a bit lackluster, if I'm honest. So, yeah, moving on. So next up, we have the T64. This is another one of those older kits. It's been around in the Team Yankee arsenal for a little bit, but they recently gave it this new T64BV upgrade sprue. And for those that don't know, the T64 that was in the game was the A pattern, and the predominant version that the Soviet Union actually would have been using in a war would have actually been the B pattern. And during the time frame, it actually would be the BV pattern. So a B pattern with some ERA armor. And the B pattern, the thing that makes it different from the A pattern is had a different targeting computer, had some minor upgrades, but most importantly, it was capable of firing anti-tank missiles. So the fact that we have this piece of equipment, which the Soviets should have had since the game launched, is very nice to see. And we'll just go over the kit. We'll start with the normal T64 kit first. Again, this is that kind of like post-mid-war Flames of War modeling. That's where their kits really start to get really nice. It doesn't have some of the problems that I've seen on like the T55 kits, but it's pretty solid. The detailing is superb. It's got all the little bits. It's got the lights. It's got your little grooves and the mud flaps there. It's got all your little side bin containers, your grill. And this just kind of goes along for everything. So like the gun's got some really nice detailing. The tank commander hatches are pretty nice. The only thing you got your back plate there. Your turret's really beautifully done. Bottom hull with your lower plate there. You even get these little mine clearing like scooper shovel things. There's a name for them. I can't remember what it is, but they're there. And so you also get a log, which I find hilarious. You get this log that you can put on the back, which is standard issue on a lot of Soviet tanks, or maybe it's not standard issue, but a lot of Soviet tanks go into battle with a log. So, there is that. You also have the tracks, very nicely detailed on the road wheels there, on the sprocket wheel, and on the return roller. So, yeah, all really nice things to see. It's a really nice kit. My only grievances really with this one are the machine guns that go on the commander's hatch or the loader's hatch. I don't remember which it is. Not the most detailed things, but that's kind of minor. So in terms of detailing is pretty great. No real flash issues on this one I haven't seen. And not a lot of mold lines either that really need to be cleaned up. So pretty good over there. In terms of going together, this kit goes together really smoothly. I built one. I'll show that off in a minute. But overall, really nice kit to put together. Really simple. Typical Battlefront style. You put your hull, you put your tracks on, then you put your hull on top, and it all goes. It's pretty similar. I built mine without even looking at the instruction booklet, but it's very straightforward, very simple, but it goes together nicely. Very easy to get a nice snug fit on all the parts if you do it right, so you don't have any like loose bits. Just fantastic workmanship. And now the upgrade sprue for the T64BV. So one of the things you notice on this, you get a new turret top, new turret bottom. That's so you can get that nice T64 ERA set along the front there. You get new side skirts with ERA bricks there and there. And then you get this bit of ERA that goes on the top of the turret, just kind of sits in right there. And then you get this little ERA block that goes on the front of the hull, right, just kind of sits right on top of that bit right there on that V shape. And you'll see that on the completed one, because I built a BV upgrade. And then you get a new turret back as well. Overall, nice little upgrade sprue. My apologies. Ow. My one complaint with this kit is that it doesn't come with a second gun. So you only get the one gun from the main T64 kit, which means you have to build either a T64 or a T64BV. I suppose you could magnetize the gun, but honestly, I'm not sure that's more work. It feels to me like it's a bit more work than it's worth because the gun does not place in a great place for magnetization. So that's one real big knock against this kit, in my opinion, but it's not the worst. It's fine. So this is what one looks like when it's finished, or a T-64BV looks like when it's finished. See, it goes together beautifully. No real holes, no real gaps in the build. I built this one with the log. You can also build them with the oil drums on top. The ERA looks really fantastic. I really can't wait to paint this one. Whole thing is just absolutely phenomenal. Looks absolutely beautiful, and when you get a whole bunch of them on the tabletop, they're just fantastic looking, kits, and a nice addition, in my opinion, to have to the Soviet arsenal, the ERA equipped tanks. Because let's be real here, that's what the Soviets would have been going into battle with, and that's kind of iconic for 1980s era Soviet equipment. So it's a bit shame that they're just coming into the game now. But we have them now, so can't really complain. And they look beautiful. So, yeah, moving on. All right, so on to the last one, the last of the plastic kits. We are going to go over the infantry and the new BTRDs, BMDs, whatever they're called now, BTRDs, because these are the BMDs. So the BMD kit, it's simple, one sprue kit. But again, it's got that. I mean, this is even better in my opinion than the T-64. I mean, just look at that detail. Look at all the lines, the little fuel caps, the oil caps. The fact that you can really see where the loading and unloading hatch is, how this splits open to allow the troops in and out of this relatively tiny vehicle. For those that don't know, the BMD is an airborne, airdropped IFV, or infantry fighting vehicle. It is dropped with the crew inside. It can do that, so that's why it's so tiny to save weight. But it's a nice little kit. Some really, really nice detail on those tracks right there on the side. I mean, there's a little shovel right there. On this one, you've got like a little pry bar, probably for doing your track tension. You don't want to forget your track tension. You've got your BMP-2 turret here with a little spot for your missile launcher, your back plate, your BMD, the missile that would go on the outside of the BMD-1, and then the missile for the BMD-2 as well. So really simple kit, really tiny, goes together simple. Again, I'm not really seeing any flash. Like the build quality, the print quality on this kit is print quality. What is this? A 3D print? No. The molding quality on this kit is just fantastic, and like the T-64, it goes together super smoothly. I can't really find many faults with this. I love putting this thing together. It went together smoothly, went together simply, and there were no gaps, no nothing. It's the bonds have held firm using ultra thin cement. So yeah, and it's really simple to put together. Again, it's that Battlefront style. You have your bottom hull, you attach your back plate, you attach your tracks, you attach your top hull, and you're pretty much done on this one. And then you've got your turret and your bottom turret part. One thing I do like about this kit, you can clearly see that you have 2 turret bottoms for each turret, which means that this one kit makes both versions of the BMD, which I always love to see. So here is what the finished product looks like. I'll get the other turret out in just a second. You can see very nice, a very tight build, very easy to put together, looks fantastic. The turret looks great with that missile on there. Nothing really, nothing to really feel like I can say. I don't really have any faults with this one. This one's just perfect. It's a nice little kit. It gives you both turret options, so you only need, as many as you need. Here's that other turret, by the way, with that missile on the outside, which just looks really cute and cute. It's a missile. Missile's looking cute. What am I on about? You've got the little searchlight on the top there. So for a 50 mil kit, you can't really ask for much more. That's just about the best you get. Battlefront's come a long way since when I started in the hobby, and this is definitely their latest run of kits. So I think it's great. You might think differently. I think it's some of the best they've done so far. So yeah, moving on to the metal infantry and then the metal and resin BTRDs. Alright, so on to the VDV platoon itself. I haven't actually built any of these yet. I didn't really feel like it was necessary to show the final product because infantry is infantry, they all kind of look the same, but we can get a good sense just from looking at these guys, and they're typical Battlefront metal infantry. They're pretty decent, pretty detailed. This guy's got a grenade launcher, pretty standard Team Yankee infantry. I personally prefer the plastic infantry that Battlefront does. I think they just, have a bit more detail. I think the details are at the very least crisper, but that's one of those things like to kind of teach their own. But in the end, they're all fine, all real fine. So I think I just got a standard AK. So yeah, it's the standard infantry. Again, I'm not a big fan of the metal. Some people are. Some people prefer it over the plastic. I prefer the plastic. I think it's easier to work with. I think it's easier to paint. I just prefer it in general. But to each their own. Honestly, though, it's fine. It's fine to have the metal. And the sculpts are pretty decent. I also got this pretty cool VDVDI doing the classic Soviet charge pose. I guess he's your officer, so pretty neat. Let's move on and wrap this up. So, last kit we're going to review from the box, and that's the new BTRD. This is the one I probably have the most to say about, well, most to complain about. I don't like Battlefront's metal and resin. I think it's fine, but compared to their plastics, it's just not nearly as good. I mean, like, the detailing is fine, but you can definitely see that, like, compared to the tank that this thing is basically an elongated version off of, there's just a noticeable level of quality difference, of detail difference. The plastic's just more crisp, more even, more just better. The resin is also prone to just having weird problems with like how tracks seat and stuff. It won't ever seat perfectly, so it'll have a bit of a kind of awkward look to it. I mean, it's fine on the tabletop, but and actually these new like soft plastic, like semi-plastic resin-ish pieces they've started adding in here in place of metal tracks work much better for this job. I mean, ultimately, I think when this kit is all put together, it'll look pretty cool. But I definitely think that I would have preferred these in plastic. I understand why they didn't. But, is what it is. Production issues with Battlefront. Well, not production issues, but just they only have so much production capacity. They're not GW, so. What we do have, what I noticed here is, for one, we've got this Screzit, this ZSU-23, basically, which goes on here. This will go together. I didn't build any of these, again, as you can see. But that goes on like that, and then like that. Things are pretty simple to build. The AA gun, and then you've got a guy here who just, a couple guys here who sit on either side of that, like that. And, pretty decent little AA gun. Pretty easy to build, not too complicated. But the thing I do notice the most with this is this kit is clearly not just designed to build the AA version, but all the versions, because here's the missile launcher they used from some of the because you can take these as just HQ transports, and you can give one a missile launcher, or you can give one a grenade launcher. This Soviet AGS something or other grenade launcher, I don't remember what it's called. Me, the military historian, can't remember what a gun system's called. But honestly, with this kit, it's not as nice because you can't swap those pieces out. You can either really build it as one version or the other, but you don't need too many others, and the fact that you do get all the parts in one is nice. I mean, I guess if you want like homebrewing your own game, this would be a nice kit because you could just build some ZSU like machine gun emplacements just to have around. Ultimately, again, it's another kit that I think is fine for what it is. Not my favorite. Would have preferred plastic, but I understand the limitations. I understand why they can't. And I'm not gonna complain just because I can't get what I want, because that would be, you know, that just wouldn't be cool. I appreciate that we even get this stuff, because there was a time when we wouldn't. There was a time when these kinds of vehicles were basically being cut out of the game, partially to make it more simplistic, and partially for production reasons. You know, they just didn't have the production capacity to make that many kits. So I'm really, really happy to see them bringing in these more niche things, not just to Team Yankee, but back into Flames of War too. I mean, they just announced for Flames of War that we're getting Soviet Shermans again, that we're getting all these old units that were there in version 3 when I started playing Flames of War, that they took out when they went to version 4, finally coming back in the game. So I'm over the moon about that. I can complain as much as I want about this being in metal and resin rather than in plastic. I understand they can't do that, and I'm just glad that we have it. Because ultimately, I think having variety and niche units is so much cooler than having everything be the best it possibly can be. And when they do make units in plastic, and they are the best they possibly can be, it makes me so happy. Battlefront, please, make a new Hind. It deserves better. Maybe even make a new variant of the Hind. The Soviets could use it. Make like a Hind P, or give us like a KA-50 or Mi-24 or something like that. Not Mi-24, Mi-28. Something like that. That would be really cool. I'd like to see that. But that's it, guys. That's everything that was in the box. So, like it if you like it. Dislike it if you disliked it. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a good night. Or good morning, depending on when you're watching this. Bye.